I was impressed with that move you pulled. Bang.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's me, it's G, it's DMC, the undefeated, undisputed YouTube champion. That's right, it's the Maverick, Mark Daniels. And we're here with our Monday Night Raw review for November 6, 2017, pre-recorded Raw from Manchester, United Kingdom. And overall, I thought Raw was pretty good. I thought it was an above-average show. There's a lot to talk about. Obviously, we got to talk about the New Day invading Raw. We got to talk about the new tag team champions. We have to talk about Braun Strowman versus the Miz. There's a lot of different things I want to talk about. But first, I want to say one thing that really disappointed me about this show today, or I guess yesterday, I watched it yesterday, was the fact that, and this isn't really a criticism of the show itself, but for a UK crowd, this crowd was very mild compared to other crowds. We also had the debut of Pete Dunne, and I'll go ahead and skip ahead to that now, but he didn't get a huge reaction like I would have expected him to get. He got a sizable pop, he got some bruiserweight chants, but it wasn't like the entire crowd was on their feet. You could even audibly see, the crowd just sitting. It was funny because Michael Cole was like, "Oh, this place is unglued. Everyone's on their feet," and then you could just see people looking on their phones while this man is coming out to the ring, and people just didn't care, and that's sad. And I can say the same thing about Asuka, who had the second match of the night against Stacey Coates. She came out to zero reaction, which is concerning to me and also very sad. But let's jump into it. Let's go straight from the beginning. We start things off with the last week replay of Braun destroying Miz in the Miztourage. Obviously, he dismantled poor Curtis Axel, was out there with the neck brace last night. I keep saying tonight because I'm used to doing it the night of. But then MIZ TV progresses. Kurt Angle's the guest. So Miz brings out Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle comes out. Of course, the crowd's hot for Angle, which is good. And he basically blames Kurt Angle for Kane attacking Daniel Bryan. He also blames him for not doing anything to Smackdown when they were under siege just weeks ago. So Angle first off denies the fact that, hey, I had nothing to do with Kane attacking Daniel Bryan. I had nothing to do with that. And whether or not he did, we'll probably find out, I'm sure, once Survivor Series is closer to being over. We'll find out what really happened, who had Kane out. Remember, Kane did used to work for the Authority, so I could definitely see it just being a Stephanie McMahon call. She said she wanted a total annihilation of SmackDown, and I could definitely see her being the one saying, "Hey, Kane, I need you to take out Daniel Bryan." Anyways, Kurt Angle denies it all. Miz asks Kurt Angle, "Okay, then why'd you put Braun Strowman on your team? He destroys us. He destroys Curtis Axel. Curtis Axel's wearing a neck brace. Why is he on your team? Why are you going to reward him?" He says, "Hey, those things had nothing to do with each other. Fact is, Braun Strowman, one hell of a teammate," and he is right. Braun Strowman is the man. And he says, "But Braun is one hell of a negotiator. He wants something in return. He wants a match." And you can see the Miz's eyes just like, what kind of match? "A match against you, Miz." Now, it wasn't for the Intercontinental Championship. However, I do think that's the next step in this feud, which I think is a great step for Braun Strowman. I think he needs a championship win. The guy's just on absolute fire. And, of course, later on tonight, he was even more on fire as we get to his match with the Miz. Fun way to start off Raw. I mean, it's very standard for Monday Night Raw or even SmackDown to start off with like a talking segment to kind of set up the show, which can be kind of boring, especially when it's the Authority. However, I enjoyed this overall, having the Miz out there. MIZ TV, I usually enjoy MIZ TV. Miz is really good in his role. So I really enjoyed that so far. Then we had Elias versus Jason Jordan in a guitar on a pole match, which I know this caused a lot of controversy to a lot of people. A lot of Vince Russo is back type of comments I've seen all over the internet, on Twitter, on Facebook. Which even, I get it. Like, I get people saying that, but let's be honest. Vince Russo did not invent blank on a pole matches. Those were happening way before Vince Russo's time. But I thought this match was fine. I enjoyed the opening with Elias coming out with no guitar, so he did some a cappella singing. That stuff was good. The crowd was really hot for Elias, which is good. Elias is awesome. He's awesome. I'm really becoming a big fan of Elias. I've never been more happy to be wrong about a guy than I have been with Elias, because of everyone that came from NXT, from everybody, even from Baron Corbin to Apollo Crews, I thought Elias was by far the most boring, and reverse that, rewind that, come back to now, he's actually the most exciting person from that crop of NXT talent. I'm just being honest. I really enjoy Elias's work. This match was fine, though. It was very standard. Elias gets the guitar down, and then Jason Jordan ends up getting the guitar later on in the match. Cracks Elias right in the back with the guitar for the win. The crowd boos poor Jason Jordan. And this is further proof that I have a theory that your standard stereotypical baby faces just don't work anymore in this current time period. I like Jason Jordan. I think the guy has a lot of talents. I think he's missing a bit of charisma. I think he's missing just a little bit of that so-called it factor, right? And you can say that about so many guys on the roster. And I think the guy is solid in the ring. I think he had some awesome matches. He had a great match with Cena, a great match with Roman Reigns. The guy is definitely solid in the ring. He's an amateur wrestler. But that is not enough to get you over. And unfortunately, with the silly storyline, with him being a stereotypical babyface, the clap and stomp babyface, the crowd is just booing the hell out of this man. I don't know if that's done by design, because this may lead into a Jason Jordan heel turn. Could happen as soon as Survivor Series. Could happen a little bit later than that if it's going to set up a Kurt Angle versus Jason Jordan match at Mania. I don't know. Now, a lot of people may argue that's a waste of Kurt Angle at Mania, and I would probably agree. I would rather see a Kurt Angle versus anybody else, really. But no, I think it's fun. If the storyline dictates that way, and if it's good and it's set up right, you can really get a good heel out of Jason Jordan. Maybe he can go to the next level off that feud, which is what you would want. Then there's this really weird segment backstage, and I didn't hear anybody else talk about it. I also didn't really listen to a lot of people either. I haven't listened to any podcasts or anything yet. But it was Angle, Sheamus, and Cesaro. And they were talking, and basically Sheamus and Cesaro were trying to talk themselves into a tag team title match. And during this, Angle was like freaking out because they mentioned his job being on the line. And he says, okay, and fast forward a little bit through it, he says, you guys need to do this. And then he says, no, wait, and he kind of looks away. And then Sheamus immediately just fires off, basically saying, we should get tag team title matches. And then while they're still talking, the camera cuts away. It was really strange. I think Kurt Angle may have messed up his lines because he never even said that they would get a tag team title match. That never was said throughout the show. Unless I missed something, it was never said. I think Michael Cole is the one who mentioned it on commentary, but it was never mentioned by Angle itself. He never actually set up the match. So I think he may have messed up there. And it happens. It happens. But it's strange if it's pre-recorded, though. If this is a pre-recorded show, which it is, why didn't they just reshoot that? I don't know. Anyways, then we have the second match tonight, which I kind of mentioned earlier. It was Asuka versus Stacey Coates, who was a local talent. It lasted all about 2 minutes, as you would expect from a jobber match. There was zero reaction for Asuka, which really sucks. Like I said, I like Asuka a lot. And then this was another weird thing. So Asuka locks in the Asuka lock. Stacey taps out, and then Asuka runs up the ramp. Then she comes back down the ramp into the ring, does a pose, and then it kind of cuts back and forth between Alicia Fox and Asuka. And then Alicia's saying that she wants Asuka on her team. It was really strange. Very weird show, these first couple segments. Then we had a Titus and Apollo interview. Basically, they said that they want revenge on Joe. Nothing really special here. Joe attacks him from behind when they come out, puts Titus in the coquina clutch, goes back out to the ring. That's the last we see of those two. Joe wants a fight, and he goes on and on, saying he wants a fight. Finn accepts the challenge, and the look on Joe's face was priceless. He did not expect Finn Balor. To me, that was the only choice I could think of who would accept that challenge, unless someone was returning, which I didn't see happening. So Samoa Joe versus Finn Balor, very awesome match. I want to say one of the two, I would even say three, really solid matches last night. Almost said tonight again on Monday Night Raw. It ended with a double countout, which is fine because it makes you want to see more between these two, which granted, these guys had quite the feud on NXT. But they continue to fight afterwards. Security and Kurt Angle come out to break them up. Kurt Angle says he needs that kind of passion on his team at Survivor Series. So he says both of them on her team. So far, we're looking at Kurt Angle as the captain and also wrestling. Braun Strowman, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor on Team Raw. And then, of course, later in the night, he recruits Jason Jordan. And then after that, Finn Balor jumps off the ramp onto Joe and like some security members and starts punching at him. That was good stuff. Then we cut to Kurt Angle on the phone with someone. He says something about not wanting to hurt them. I don't know if that's really going to play into a storyline or if he was just talking, pretending to talk to someone on the phone. And then Jason Jordan comes in and he says, "Oh, you wanted to see me?" Kurt's like, "You know what? This is gonna be perceived as favoritism." And of course, immediately the segment is over. Booker T was like, "It is favoritism." He wants Jason Jordan to be on his team. He says he's been doing one hell of a job. He's been working his ass off, even in matches he's lost. Like I mentioned earlier against Cena and Roman, he's been having a good showing. But he wants him on his team. He wants someone he can trust. So we have Jason Jordan. And I thought about it. Is there really anyone else you could really put on this team? Maybe Kane. But would you really want Kane and Strowman on the same team? Because otherwise, you really don't have anyone because everyone's kind of already busy. Like the Shield's going to be feuding with the New Day, presumably. I mean, they haven't announced that, but it's all but confirmed. Come on now. So you don't have any of the Shield members you could throw on there. So Sheamus and Cesaro are now in the tag team title match. The Miz is going against Braun Strowman, against Baron Corbin. You wouldn't put any of the cruiserweights on there. I mean, they could. I would have popped big if they would have announced Pete Dunne being on the team, the UK champion. I think that would have been pretty cool. But he says Jason Jordan. I think Jason Jordan's a fine choice. I think this is good for Jason Jordan from a booking standpoint. Although I think he's going to get shit on by the crowd as usual, which is kind of a bummer. Then we had the fourth match tonight. It was Sasha and Bayley versus Alicia Fox and Nia Jax. This is an okay match. Sasha ends up winning with the bank statement on Foxy, and then Foxy says she wants Sasha on the team, but she didn't say anything about Bayley. So it leaves a little bit of disappointment to Bayley. I would imagine that she's gonna have Bayley on the team. So far we're looking at Alicia Fox, Nia Jax, Sasha Banks, and Asuka. There really isn't anybody else on the Raw roster that they could really put on the team besides maybe Mickie James. So it's either going to be Mickie James or Bayley, and if it's not Bayley, perhaps that's the start of a Bayley heel turn that I think that she desperately needs because she's just not over anymore like she was in NXT. Now we have Braun Strowman versus The Miz. This is a fun match. Of course, this is just a match where Braun was just throwing The Miz around like a rag doll. And then the Miztourage was constantly trying to interrupt the match. So Braun Strowman ran out the ring, literally punched Bo Dallas's lights out, grabs Curtis Axel, he's like pointing to his neck brace, the crowd's chanting no, and he just throws him to the barricade anyways. So then Kane comes out. Kane goes for a choke slam, and they do the thing where he like slowly grabs Kane's hand and just muscles it off there, and he beats up Kane. Beats up Miz and the Miztourage afterwards, and Braun just looks like an absolute monster because that's what Braun is. He's a monster. I could see Kane coming out during the Survivor Series. See, that's the thing with these Survivor Series. I see so many people coming out and making some interruptions, which is fine, but it kind of also hurts the overall matches too. But I can see Kane coming out and costing Braun his part of the match in Survivor Series, getting him eliminated maybe by countout, a la what James Ellsworth did to him, I believe, last year. Or just going out there, just choke slamming him and someone getting a pin on him. Because it's going to be Kane versus Braun Strowman. That's just going to happen. Unless they do that next week, like they did with him and Big Show, just to get that out of the way. But Kane is definitely back. He's being booked like a monster again just so he can put Braun Strowman over. And I think that's fine. Then we had Seth and Dean interview with Renee. This was kind of cute. So they kind of go on. Basically, Seth calls Sheamus and Cesaro uncool, says they smell and all this stuff. They do the Shield fist bump. You can see Renee trying to reach out for her, but they leave. And then when they leave, she kind of puts her fist out like the Shield. And it was kind of funny. The crowd you could hear the crowd laughing a little bit, which was funny. Then we had Enzo come out, and I had to fast forward through this. Usually I like Enzo promos, but there was no heat. The crowd was not into it. It was just bad. I fast forward through it. He talks about Kalisto. Kalisto comes out. He sets up a metal chair. And the first thing I thought of was, why is he defending against Kalisto? Surely he could defend it against a Smackdown talent. I mean, he doesn't have to lose, but this is Survivor Series, the one night a year, even though we've had a couple instances already this year, where Raw goes against SmackDown head-to-head. I think you could have Enzo with the Cruiserweight division on the line type of scenario, and you just have Enzo win. I mean, he's not going to lose. You can have him defend it against Tyler Breeze. You can have him, defend it against Chad Gable. If Chad Gable and Shelton don't win the tag titles now from the Usos. So this is, Sin Cara. I would say Sin Cara, but he just got injured. I'm trying to think of anyone else on the SmackDown roster that could audibly be a contender for the Cruiserweight Championship. I think Tyler Breeze would probably be one of the best ones that you could pick from. And you could have Tyler Breeze versus Enzo and just have Enzo win. I think that'd be cool. But I think what they're going to do, and the reason why I say this is because Pete Dunne comes out. And which, first off, this is a little weird. So Pete Dunne comes out. No, scratch that. His music plays. And then Kurt Angle comes out. And then he introduces Pete Dunne while his music's still playing. It was a little weird. But he comes out with the UK Championship. And he goes against Enzo. Ends up winning against Enzo because there was a distraction by Kalisto, and he wins with a bitter end, which is a really cool move. It's like a pump handle flatliner. It's called the bitter end, and I think what's going to happen, because tonight after SmackDown they're going to have the UK guys on 205 Live. I'm thinking this might actually lead into a Survivor Series match, the UK division versus the Cruiserweight division. I don't know if there's going to be anything on the line, but I think this is a setup for that. I think that'd be kind of cool, even if it's a pre-show match, because I wanted another Survivor Series match. I wanted it to be more of the mid-card guys, but if it's going to be the UK division versus Cruiserweight division, I think that could be kind of cool. And it's good to see at least some of these UK guys at least somewhere, because they've been talking about this UK show for like a year now, and I feel like they're just going to scrap the UK show entirely. What they could do is they could easily just combine 205 Live in the UK division and make it a 2-hour show. Or they could, what I thought would be an even better option, is just scrap the UK division completely and just bring the UK Championship to NXT, and that could be the mid-card title for NXT, since NXT doesn't have one. You can have the UK Championship be like the US Championship, or the Intercontinental Championship just be the mid-card title. Nothing wrong with that. But we'll see what happens with that. I'd be excited for a UK versus Cruiserweight Survivor Series match, as long as it's not like a 2-minute, hit spot match, like they kind of are, because they get. 205 Live kind of get this shit into the stake most of the time, which kind of sucks. Then we had Sheamus and Cesaro versus Seth and Dean tag team title match. Very good match. Very back and forth. A lot of great spots in this match. Near the end of the match, the New Day comes out, and this is kind of weird. So one thing I noticed right away is they do the whole intro for New Day where they say, "Oh, Manchester," and they play their music. But not only that, then they pan the camera over to the Tintron, and you have New Day's Tintron playing. That was a little strange, because you would think these are SmackDown guys. They're invading Raw. Why would they be playing their music and their Tintron? Just saying. I think that was a little unnecessary. Now, I ignore those sort of things because it is pro wrestling, and if we try to look at everything logically, in pro wrestling, things never pan out that way. You end up getting disappointed, and it kind of ruins the show for you that way. But that was the first thing I noticed. I'm just like, come on, guys. But I actually thought it was kind of funny. But then they come out and they cut a promo, and they said, this is Under Siege Part 2, baby. And then you see Kurt Angle and the entire Raw roster run out. And then the New Day basically said the Raw roster did nothing. So eventually, Raw has to do something, right? Raw has to attack SmackDown. It could happen tonight during the AJ Styles and Jinder match, cost AJ Styles the WWE title. And then they can rationalize that on Monday, saying we did that because we know Jinder has no chance against Brock, but AJ, on the other hand, would have a chance against Brock. It would be a tougher competitor for Brock to win. And then I think Jinder's winning. I really think Jinder's winning. I think that's going to be my prediction when predictions come, because they've really made it feel like Jinder is a nothing champ, which he is, but he is a non-factor against Brock, and I don't think he's going to win clean. I don't think there's 0% chance of that happening. But I think with the Singh brothers and maybe, just maybe, an interruption from somebody, it could be Braun Strowman, it could be any Samoa Joe, it could be someone who wants the Universal title, and it could be even a returning Bray Wyatt, causing a distraction on Brock or beating Brock up for Jinder to win the match. Because I think Jinder's winning that match. Because I don't think AJ's winning the title tonight. I see there being a distraction tonight. Either it's Rusev, because Rusev and AJ was supposed to happen this week for a spot on Survivor Series, or it's going to be Raw. It's going to be Raw coming out and doing the same thing they did last night for the tag team titles, except there's not going to be a title change. It's going to be the opposite. That's what I think is going to happen. And I think they're going to attack SmackDown and beat the heck out of them. They have to. They have to get the receipt at some point. But during this distraction, Sheamus hits a bro kick. I believe it was on Seth Rollins. And they win the tag team titles. They run out of there. Kurt looks confused. And it looks like we're going to have Sheamus and Cesaro, The Bar, versus the Usos. Unless, I'm pretty sure Chad Gable and Benjamin get a tag team title match. Unless they win, we're going to have yet another heel versus heel match at Survivor Series, which is a little strange. Because we have Corbin versus Miz, which is a heel versus heel match. Now, as of right now, we have The Bar versus the Usos, both heels. We have Alexa Bliss versus Natalya, both heels. We have, is that it? We have Brock and Jinder. Brock is more of a babyface, so that's fine. That's a babyface versus heel match. Then we have the Survivor Series matches, which is a mixed bag of heels and babyfaces. So that's fine. Possibly we still could. I was just thinking, Enzo's defending his title against Kalisto, but we could still have a UK versus. There's enough cruiserweights and enough UK guys. We could still have a cruiserweight versus UK division match at Survivor Series. I think that'd be cool. If I were to pick, I don't know all the UK guys, right? So Pete Dunne would be on there, probably Tyler Bate, maybe Trent Seven, and I don't know any of the other guys. I know Mark Andrews, but it could be those guys. And then if I had to pick a team of cruiserweights that isn't the champion, I would pick Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher because they're in the main picture of the cruiserweights. I would choose Rich Swann, Cedric Alexander, since those four guys kind of been intertwined in a feud with each other. And then a fifth guy, you could throw in Akira Tozawa, you could throw in Mustafa Ali, you could throw in Drew Gulak, because Drew Gulak is a pretty funny. I find him pretty entertaining. You could throw in a handful of those guys in there. If Neville is still around, I don't know. There was rumors of him asking for his release, and we haven't seen him since then. It's a damn shame. I would throw Neville in there for sure, because Neville is the man. But I think the UK division has to win the match, though. Which sucks for the cruiserweights, because they, again, get the shit into the stick. But anyways, guys, overall, like I said, I thought Monday Night Raw was good. I'm excited for SmackDown. I want to see if Raw gets involved in any way. I would imagine they would have to. I don't think AJ is winning the world title, but I don't think he's going to lose cleanly against Jinder. And I think the same thing's going to happen between Jinder and Brock. I believe next week on Raw, Brock is coming back, which I feel like he just returned like a week ago, and they did the same thing. So I don't know why they hyped that up, because it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be Paul Heyman, doing his whole shtick with Brock, Suplex City, yada yada, and then they're going to call out, they're going to make fun of Jinder Mahal, and then they're just going to say he's got to be conquered, he's got to be blah blah blah, Brock Lesnar. So I guess that's something to look forward to. I don't know. If the New Day and the Shield thing doesn't happen, because maybe Roman's not cleared yet, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that just yet. Maybe we see a rematch between the Bar and the Shield guys on Monday Night Raw, and they get the titles back so they can face the Usos. I don't know. I know people are disappointed that we're not going to see the New Day versus we're not going to see the Usos versus Seth and Dean, because it would have been one other match, and it would have been. But I think the Bar and the Usos could have a really good match too. You guys got to remember, Sheamus and Cesaro, really good tag team, and they had a really good match with the Shield as well the last time they faced each other. And yesterday, too, I thought they had an awesome match. So I think the tag teams right now are really showing up. The New Day, the Shield, the Bar, the Usos, all been doing a hell of a job. I like Gable and Benjamin. I need to see more from them, though. I love Breezango. They're a guilty pleasure of mine. Although it's not so much in-ring stuff, it's everything surrounding that that I enjoy from them. Although I think they're fine in the ring, too. But the tag teams are really doing really good right now in WWE, which is good to see. We also have the eventual debut of the Bludgeoning Brothers. I'm a big Luke Harper fan. I'm not a big fan of the gimmick, but I'm going to give it a chance. But there's a lot of tag team stuff coming on. The Revival should be coming back soon, hopefully. The Revival are great. But anyways, guys, that's my Raw review. Like I said, I would say it's an above-average show. Nothing super exciting happened, but there's some cool stuff that happened. I would definitely check it. If I were to pick a few segments to watch, if you didn't watch Monday Night Raw and you just kind of watch some clips, I like the opening stuff between the Miz and Angle. I think you could probably skip the guitar and pole match, the Asuka match. Finn versus Joe was a lot of fun. I would watch that, even though it ended in a double count. But it makes you want to see another match between them, which is kind of the goal. I would watch Braun Strowman versus The Miz because anything Braun Strowman or anything The Miz is usually fun to watch. Pete Dunne versus Enzo, just for the debut of Pete Dunne. If you're not familiar with Pete Dunne, he's definitely a guy to look after in the future. The guy's really good. He had potentially match of the year. I know it's a match of the year for a lot of guys. If you include outside of WWE as well, was Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate at that NXT TakeOver show earlier this year. Really good match. Opened a lot of people's eyes. My eyes. Here I thought these guys were a little overrated because I never saw them. That's what I get for thinking that. Because they're really good. Sheamus versus Cesaro and Seth and Dean, I would watch that as well. There was a title change. It was a fun match. And it's going to lead into something much bigger because it's going to be the Shield versus the New Day. From what I assume as Survivor Series, as well as the Bar versus the Usos. Both could be very incredible matches, and I think they will be. So Survivor Series is starting to shape up to be one hell of a card. We have so far 2 Survivor Series matches. We have the women's match. We have the Intercontinental versus U.S. title match. We have Jinder versus Brock. We have the tag team champions going out. We potentially have the New Day versus the Shield. And potentially the UK division versus the Cruiserweight division in a Survivor Series match. And of course we have the Cruiserweight title match, which to me is probably the most throwaway thing on the show so far, which is Kalisto getting his rematch against Enzo Amore. And that match is going to be quick. And it's going to be painless. It's fine. It'll be my bathroom break. I think I'll be fine. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought of the show. Did you guys like Monday Night Raw? Are you guys bummed out that we're not going to see the Usos versus Seth and Dean? Do you think there's too many heel versus heel matchups? Do you think AJ Styles is going to win the title tonight? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that Raw's going to invade SmackDown tonight? Do you think it's going to happen next week? I want to know. Let me know what you guys are thinking about Survivor Series right now. I'm not excited for it, but I am looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun show. Maybe once it gets closer, maybe I'll get a little bit more excited for it. But I am interested to see what happens. And I like Survivor Series as a whole. And I do miss Survivor Series, the traditional Survivor Series matches. So we have 2 of them, potentially 3. And I think that's a pretty good number to have on the show. So anyways, guys, until next time, I am the Maverick Mark Daniels. Bidding you a farewell. Peace. And one love.